بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Last thing we did in wal-Marjan was chapter number 49. Then we have chapter number 50. باب ما يتعلق بالقراءات. حديث عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه كان يقرأ فهل من مدكر. حديث أبي الدرداء رضي الله عنه عن إبراهيم قال قدم أصحاب عبد الله على أبي الدرداء فطلبهم فوجدهم فقال أيكم يقرأ قراءة عبد الله؟ قال كلنا. قال فأيكم أحفظ؟ فأشاروا إلى علقمة. قال كيف سمعته يقرأ والليل إذا يغشى؟ قال علقمة والذكر والأنثى. قال أشهد أني سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقرأ هكذا وهؤلاء يريدوني على أن أقرأ وما خلق الذكر والله لا أتابعهم. States here what is said about recitations of the Quran, similar to chapter number 49 and in chapters before that. What is said mentioning the qira'at, the modes of recitation. The modes of recitation. We've explained this already. The importance for the Muslim who's a student of knowledge, a disciple, an imam of the masjid, a da'i, a caller, a translator, to have a basic concept of the modes of recitation of the Quran al-Kareem. Basic concept, not a detailed description, but basic. Is that there is more than one mode, and it is not haram to recite it in a different mode, which is the unconventional mode, or which isn't the conventional mode that you're used to. Tayyib, styles, right? It's different styles, correct? Not just one style. Naam? So we previously explained that. How the Quran al-Kareem was compiled, put together, put into the Uthmanic canon, or the Uthmanic, the Mus'haf of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And certain things that the Prophet ﷺ himself would say and recite. Tayyib. Chapter number 50 starts off with the hadith number 471. It is narrated by Abdullah bin Mas'ud that the Prophet ﷺ used to recite فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. What does that mean? What do we get from that? Is this a hadith which is selected from a larger chapter in Sahih Muslim? Is that chapter in Sahih Muslim a selection of a larger concept of modes of the prophetic recitation? فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. What is it supposed to be? A dhal there, mutadhakkir, mudhakkir, mudhakkar, min muddakir. Alright? What's meant by that? Says here in the Sharh of Nawawi, يعني بالمهملة وأصله متذكر فأبدلت التاء دالا مهملة ثم أضغمت المعجمة في المهملة فصار النطق بدال مهملة. He says this means, or what's meant by this is, he says, as I've just said to you, that it's supposed to be a dhal and not a del. It's supposed to be a dhal and not a del. Coming from dhikr, dhikr, the dhikr of Allah, the remembrance of Allah. And we know that all of the sciences and disciplines of Islam are connected on one level or another. So when you're studying hadith, you're going to study tafsir. When you study tafsir, you're going to study hadith. When you're reading about the qira'at, you're going to have to know something about the Arabic language. Because those, or the Arabic language is the defining point of this qira'ah versus that qira'ah. This is what a kasrah and this is what a fatha. This is what a dhal and this is what a del. You understand? So the word muddakir, as I've just said to you, comes from mutadhakkir, someone who's thinking. Allah says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ. Surely we have made the Quran easy to be remembered. We have facilitated its study. We have facilitated its memorization. So will there be someone who will yatadhakkar? Will there be someone who will memorize and learn and yadhkur? But the qira'ah of the Prophet ﷺ, and that what is in the Uthmani script today, and the famous qira'ah of Hafs bin Asim is فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ, with a del and not with a dal. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala breaks down the sarf, illa sarfiyya, the sarf. And for those students of the Arabic language, we know that nahu pertains to the end of the noun, or the end of the verb, the end, fatha, dhamma, or kasra. And as-sarf pertains to the beginning and the middle, but not of the grammatical style, not of what position it's in the sentence, but the actual breakdown of the word, the skeleton of the word, the construction of the word. That's sarf. And that's why I say morphology. What does that mean? What is morphology? What's a morph? We hear this word, it's translated. They say grammar and morphology. What in the world is morphology? A metamorphosis is when the caterpillar does what? Turns into a what? Butterfly or a moth. Are there similarities between a butterfly and a caterpillar? For sure, such as both insects. What else? There's many other things. The legs remain the same or they get more legs? What else? How about the antennas? Huh? Do they remain the same or do they go away? Butterflies have what? Antennas, for sure. And caterpillars have what? Insects. I have antennas. So you messing me up. Correct or not? So the thing, it changes. It goes through different formation, but there are things which remain what? The same. There are things which remain the what? The same. So the breakdown of the word, it goes from this form to that form to this form. You understand this? How is it's morphed. Qala, qawala. You understand? You understand this? And how one letter is taken out and another letter is substituted. Replaced, it's mixed and it's matched. So the word mudakkir is not the original word. It's not the what? The original word. Not the del. That's not original. Let alone the ta is missing. So when a letter is taken out and a letter is adjusted, another letter is put in to make it more fluid, more sweet, more eloquent. It's from the science of the Arabic language, let alone of the what? Recitation of the Quran al-Kareem. Everybody clear on this? So the Prophet ﷺ, his qira'ah, that is the qira'ah. Not what the hypothetical theory tells us about in Arabic. This is what the Prophet recited. And he only recited it based off what Jibreel ﷺ taught him. You understand this? He only recited it based off of what the what? Jibreel ﷺ taught him. Another fa'idah that we take from this hadith is what we previously had laid down and established, is that there are no special and exotic rules of reciting the Quran. There is no Quranic culture of rulings. It's what is in the Sunnah. It's permissible to recite like this and permissible to recite like that, to say this, to do this, based off of the teachings of the what? That's it. There is no, oh, he's a qari. The people, they say all the time, he's a hadith guy. He's a Quran guy. Just, you know, don't just leave him alone. No. It has to be proven why you're reciting like this and saying this. Everyone understand this? And that's only based off of the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam. And we also in Talbis Iblis, the deception of Satan over the reciters or on the reciters of the Quran. And from that deception is for them to think that they have a special set of rules and a special set of laws that are above and beyond the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, just because it's been passed down and handed down and Sheikh Fulan and Qari Fulan did it. That means nothing in light of the authentic hadith. Correct clearness? Whether it's saying Sadaqallahu al-Azim or Maqamat or whatever you want to explain and get into. Tayyib. And the same applies to fiqh. The same applies to fiqh. The fiqh has to be based off of dalil. Has to be based off of some type of proof and evidence. Whether it's a hadith or whether it's other than a hadith. Every fiqh issue is not based off of a hadith. There's some fiqh issues based off of statements of companions, athar of some of the tabi'un, based off of qiyas, based off of other principles, other types of rationale. But it has to be based off of what? Something. It has to be based off of what? Something. And the further you go in that field of dalil, further from the direct hadith, the weaker and less requiring that fiqh view is going to be. Everyone understand this? Possibly. This makes sense. No doubt. But it isn't the same as it's directly based off of Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and which is binding. Everyone understand this or not? Khairan insha'Allah ta'ala. He then says, or we go into the next hadith, hadith 472, is narrated, Ibrahim, the companions of Abdullah bin Mas'ud came to Abu Darda. And before they arrived at his home, we looked for them and found them. Then he asked them, who among you can recite the Quran as Abdullah recites it, meaning Ibn Mas'ud? They replied, all of us. He asked, who among you knows it by heart? And that's not a correct translation. That's not a correct translation. It says, فَأَيُّكُمْ أَحْفَظُ. Which of the two, or which of you has the most memory, who has strongest memory, who has memorized the most? And it doesn't say that they didn't memorize the entire Quran, but then his ahfadh, he's even more skilled. He's the ablest from among them, of all the different modes and this and that and the ins and outs. You understand this? They pointed to Alqamah. Then he asked Alqamah, how did you hear Abdullah bin Mas'ud reciting Surah Al-Layl? Alqamah recited by the male and the female. And there is no benefit in that in English, because it's not about the meaning. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا تَجَلَّى وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى. It's not in English. It's an issue of what? Qira'ah. So if anything, the translator should have placed inside of the translation the what? The Roman transliteration, as he does in 50 other places in which there's no need or benefit in doing so. You understand, Khalid? It says by the male and the female. What is that? The qira'ah of Fatha al-Kasra also says what? By the male and the what? And the female. Sahih? Is of no benefit in the translation whatsoever, and it has no clarity. Abi ad-Darda, who is Abi ad-Darda? Abu Darda, he said, I testified that I heard the Prophet ﷺ reciting it like this. But these people want me to recite, and by him who created male and female. But by Allah I will not follow them. Tayyib. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says about this hadith, قال القاضي قال المازري يجب أن يعتقد في هذا الخبر وما في معناه أن ذلك كان قرآنا ثم نسخ ولم يعلم من خالف النسخ فبقي على النسخ. قال ولعل هذا وقع من بعضهم قبل أن يبلغهم مصحف عثمان المجمع عليه المحذوف منه كل منسوخ. وأما بعد ظهور مصحف عثمان فلا يظن بأحد منهم It is an absolute must for us to understand this hadith in the following light. It's an absolute must for us to understand this hadith in the following light. And that light is that this was once a mode of recitation, or this was actual Quran itself. And then it was canceled. And it was removed. Allah canceled it and sent down its final and last replacement and substitution. So, it says here, وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى. That is what you memorize now, and that is what is in the Quran today, the Mus'haf of Uthman, correct? But the narration says what? The surah will go like what? وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى وَالنَّهَارِ وَالذَّكَرِ وَالْأُنثَى. Everybody with me now? You got it now? Start from the beginning of the surah. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى. وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنْثَى. That's the qira'ah which was final. But no, he says, is that there was once something that was sent down that said what? وَالذَّكَرِ. So start from the beginning of the surah now, based off of that qira'ah. Bismillah. Bismillah. We can't hear you. Khalid, yalla. Keep going. What's the next ayah? Subhanallah. You can't memorize. If you got to go back and recite the last ayah, you should have memorized it then. What do you do when you go to the ijazah test? And the sheikh says, recite it backwards. And forward in the next one. طيب مختار, go ahead. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والليل إذا يغشى. وهكذا. And he says, and that was cancelled, that was mansukh, that was now replaced. And the final recitation was what? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والليل إذا يغشى. والنهار إذا تجلى. وما خلق الذكر والأنثى. إن سعيكم لشتى. Everyone understands? So this is not strange. There are many hadiths in which there are certain things that were removed from the Quran. Recitation that was what? Removed. And not just a ruling, but the actual what? Itself. No question about that. Hadith in Bukhari and Muslim on this topic. Everyone understand this? Everybody clear this or not? Another rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, and those who went against it, they didn't know. They didn't know. It didn't reach them at that time. It was before that the Mus'haf of Uthman radiallahu anhu, which was unanimously accepted, reached them. As I just said, with regards to studying ulumul Quran. If you don't have a basic background of this, then you're going to be totally lost. What is the Uthmani Mus'haf? What's his Mus'haf? What is a Mus'haf Uthman? What is this? What does that mean? And how did it reach them or not reach them? If you don't have a basic background of ulumul Quran, then you're not going to be what? Be up to par of what Noe's talking about. What happened? What is Noe saying? Who can explain it and break it down? Yalla. Bismillah.
There was certain people, certain sahabas didn't get the end, the kind of final wording and recitation
of Uthman. But what do you mean it didn't reach them? How? How was it supposed to reach them? Uthman did what with the Quran? And he put it in a final version and one Mus'haf. Book, cover, 2 covers. And he told everyone, he was the Khalifa at the time, get rid of anything else that you have. This is the final what? Quran. Everybody clear on this? Quote unquote. Yeah, Allah. Khalas, let's move forward. There's no point in explaining it. If you don't have a basic background of it, Abdul Qaid, then you what? You're not going to get it. And perhaps you're not meant to get it. Tayyib, moving forward. Tayyib. He then says, rahimahullah ta'ala, وَأَمَّا بَعْدَ ظُهُورِ مُصْحَفِ. Tayyib. As far as after Uthman's Mus'haf came out and was sent to them, we don't think, you don't have no type of bad thoughts with any companions. They will continue to recite something that was outside of the Uthmanic script. We're talking about the qira'at, right? Pertaining to the what? Rasm. The rasm. Naam Mukhtar, the what? Meaning what? What's rasm? Nah, pronounce. That's not what rasm means. What does that mean, Khalid? Rasm, the illustration. يحسب أن ماله أخلده. يحسب أن ماله أخلده. It's written the same. It's written what? You with me or not? The Qira'ah of Hafs says what? وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالًا وَعَدَّدَ يَحْسَبُ with a fatha. But if another qira'ah, you say yahsibu, it's a what? Still written the what?
Same way.
Same way. There's no difference in the rasm of the qira'at. As far as وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنْثَى وَالذَّكَرِ وَالْأُنْثَى, then that is no longer an issue of rasm. That's extra words versus lesser words. You guys with me or not? I'm done with you, dude.
The morphology is
La, ya akhi. I've abandoned you. I've freed myself from you. You guys got me or not? You sure, Abdul Qawi? Don't be shy. You with me? Tayyib. So therefore, for Abu Darda to say that after the Uthmani Mus'haf came to him, nobody says it's unbefitting for us to think that. That he would say, I'm going to keep reciting like this after Uthman's official, mandated, standardized Mus'haf reached him. The Khalifa says this is it. Anything that's against this rasm, no. You understand this? And he still says, I'm going to what? Follow them. No, he says no. La yudhannu bi ahadin minhum. He says no, don't have that thought of them. Moving forward, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وأما ابن مسعود فرويت عنه روايات كثيرة منها ما ليس بثابت عند أهل النقل وما ثبت منها مخالفا لما قلناه فهو معمول على أنه كان يكتب في مصحفه بعض الأحكام والتفاسير مما يعتقد أنه ليس بقرآن وكان لا يعتقد تحريم ذلك وكان يراه كصحيفة يثبت فيها أو يثبت فيها ما يشاء وكان رأي عثمان والجماعة منع ذلك لئلا يتطاول الزمان ويظن ذلك قرآنا. And he goes on to explain the different issues with regards to the different versions of Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu and the different statements that he made that conflict with things that were written in the Mus'haf of Uthman, the Osmani canon. Whether it's inauthentic, it's not sahih, or whether he wrote things on the footnotes and the margins as rulings that he didn't believe was Quran, but interpretation through recitation. And Uthman radiallahu anhu and other companions, they said no, none of that should be even put in. This is one Mus'haf, khalas, done, that's it. You understand this? Right. That's enough for that, because we can't go but so far if we don't have no basic background. And that's why I always say, all of the time, and Allah is my witness, from one thing learn 10,000 things. And I say this, if you're weak in this, then you're going to suffer and continue to be weak in what? Something else. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have a background of this, being a Muslim. No reason. Any viewer who's never even heard of any of this, it's unbefitting, let alone a so-called student of knowledge, or memorizer of the Quran, or teacher of the Quran, or student of the Quran. You're supposed to have a background of this, especially living in America and Western countries. A non-Muslim says something, Ibn Mas'ud said this is not from the Quran. This is extra from the Quran. The Quran hasn't been changed. The Quran is the absolute word of God, letter and meaning. And you don't have a clue of the concept at all, you may fall prey, victim to that doubt. You understand the danger of this? This is why we've been saying this and coaching this for a while now. Tayyib. From the fawaid of Hadith 472 is the virtue of having good students. The virtue of having good students, strong students. We also benefit from Hadith 472 is that students should not be jealous of each other. They should not be envious of each other. And each and every one of them should have no problem with admitting and acknowledging the best from among them. Who's the best? Al-Qama. That's it. Oh no, I'm better. Oh, that's the Sheikh's favorite. Oh, he's better than me, or the Sheikh likes me better, or I'm with him more, he studies with me more, and he didn't tell me this, and kada and kada and kada. Huh? Immature things that we have to deal with, men and women. It's unbefitting. If someone's the best in the class, what? MashaAllah, so be it. Alhamdulillah. It doesn't have to be teacher's pet, huh? Mukhtar. In our culture, they make fun of the best student. Yeah. Call them names and things like this. Jealousy and seeking knowledge, no. وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. Compete to go to Jannah, like we mentioned Friday. Compete for higher levels in paradise, but not claw and scratch and fight each other for the pleasure of somebody or the status. Who's going to inherit the dojo after me? It's going to be me, of course. I'm the best. It's not going to be you, even though you are the best. La. It's unbefitting. We're all Muslims. Inshallah, hopefully we're supposed to be. The next fa'idah from this hadith is that the alim is supposed to follow what he is convinced with. He's supposed to follow his conviction, what he feels in his heart. And then of course you're supposed to check yourself. Do the research again, look at it again, sit down, look at it, review it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe they're right. But if you still feel that you're right, and you have the proof and evidence that you're right, you're not supposed to just submit and give up. Everyone understand this? You're supposed to say what? No, I'm sorry. That's what I'm going to do and I'm not following no one else. Everyone clear on this or not? And this also goes to show us, this is very ironic, the people they fight and they fuss over so many different things. The companions differed in Aqidah, one person says. And the second person says they never ever differed in Aqidah. The one who says that the companions differed in Aqidah, supposedly, this is his intention and his goal and objective. To totally allow any and every type of difference of opinion. Don't say anything, don't refute, don't nothing, because the companions differed in Aqidah. Or another person may make that statement, and his intention is, we're not saying that every difference of opinion is okay. And it's all right for us to keep silent upon things which are clearly against Quran and Sunnah, but don't cut each other's heads off. And don't fight over these trivial issues because the companions differed over Aqidah. So who are you to differ over blue and black, hands like this, hands like that? And there may be a third person may have another intention by making that statement. And then those who come along on a counter and they say the companions never ever differed on anything in Aqidah. Is that right? Is that scientifically accurate? Let's say it is for argument's sake. What is their intention? To silence their opponents and anyone who differs with them? And which is crystal clear. This is what Sheikh Fulan said. This is what we're saying and translating. That's the bottom line. Top and bottom line, take it or leave it. And if you don't take our specific tightrope, walk, plank of understanding, then you're a deviant. And then others who may come and they may say, that's not our intention, but we don't want to open up the door of differences to the people. Something that they can't bear, something that's beyond and over their heads, etc. All right? So regardless of who's saying these statements, who's making these statements, and regardless of what they mean by these statements, the bottom line is, how about the companions differing over the Quran? Which is the foundation of what? Not just Aqidah. You understand this? Regardless, what's authentic, what it means, this and that, but the sheer fact that it what? It took place on certain issues. On what? Certain issues. Everyone understand this? So this should be an admonishment and a reminder for many people who live in that small, narrow bubble of Sheikh Fulan or Brother Fulan or Student Fulan. And that's it. And anyone who goes against this and what we say in our specific ijtihad and our made up rulings in fatwa, وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقَ الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ الْهُدَى وَيَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى وَنُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمَ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. That's the verse that they quote. It's nonsense. That's what? It's nonsense. And as we said, the doorstep to the temple of wisdom is our knowledge of our ignorance. The doorstep, not the doorway, not the entrance, not the bridge, the doorstep to the temple of wisdom is our knowledge of our ignorance. For us to know that we really don't know that much. And there's a lot of studying to do, and a lot of reading to be made, and a lot of things to be memorized, and tons of revision to be done, and a lot of questions to be asked. You understand this? And that's the whole concept of what? Doing what? Emptying a cup. Realizing that you're ignorant. That's the path to wisdom. You understand this? And there are many, 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 many other issues like this, similar to this. All types of things, whether it's Quran, Aqidah, Fiqh, Hadith, etc. Criticizing people, refuting people, taking from deviant people, taking from innovators. Many of those things we've mentioned in lectures and talks. And most of those things we, what? Have not, and we will not. Moving forward. باب الأوقات التي نهي عن الصلاة فيها. حديث عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه عن ابن عباس قال: شهدني رجال مرضيون وارضاهم عندي عمر أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نهى عن الصلاة بعد الصبح حتى تشرق الشمس وبعد العصر حتى تغرب. حديث أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه قال: سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: لا صلاة بعد الصبح حتى ترتفع الشمس ولا صلاة بعد العصر حتى تغيب الشمس. حديث ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: لا تحروا بصلاتكم طلوع الشمس ولا غروبها. حديث ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم: إذا طلع حاجب الشمس فدعوا الصلاة حتى تبرز وإذا غاب حاجب الشمس فدعوا الصلاة حتى تغيب. So basically, the discussion of the different issues about ulum al-Quran and qira'ah and night prayer and witr and taraweeh and tahajjud is basically now what? Done. For this book. For this book. Other books, different story. But for this book, we're finished that section now. And now he's going to move on to speak on the times of prayer with regards to when you cannot pray. When you cannot pray, i.e., when a person would wish to make voluntary prayers. And praying that night, the night going into the morning, that has a connection to the prohibited times of prayer. Everyone understand this? That has a connection to the what? The prohibited times of what? Prayer. Fahimtum? Everybody got this? طيب. So he says, الأوقات التي نهي عن الصلاة فيها. Times in which you are not allowed to pray. Obviously, first and foremost, one could possibly say the fard prayer. But is that what is meant? If you've missed the fard prayer and you have to make it up, or you were delayed from making the fard prayer and you have to pray it during this time, or is the initial concept making sunnahs and nafilas during these times? Huge difference between the two scenarios. Not a small difference, but a what? Huge difference. Everybody clear on this? Either or, that's the ruling. But if you oversleep and the sun is coming up, different story. But now I just want to pray to Allah. I want to make salah. I want to make extra rak'ah. I want to ask Allah for something. Can I pray in this time or during this time period? You understand this? Tayyib. First narration is reported by Umar ibn al-Khattab. Hadith 473. The Prophet ﷺ forbade offering a salah after the Fajr prayer till the sun rises, and after the Asr prayer till the sun sets. Hadith 474 is narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu. I heard Allah's Messenger ﷺ saying, there is no salah after the morning prayer till the sun rises, and there's no prayer after the Asr prayer till the sun sets. Hadith 475 is narrated by Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma. Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, do not offer the prayer at the time of sunrise and at the time of sunset. Hadith 476 is narrated by Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma as well. Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, when the upper edge of the sun appears, don't perform the prayer till the sun appears in full. And when the lower edge of the sun sets, don't perform the prayer till it sets completely. All of these hadiths obviously showing one main ruling. One main ruling. And that ruling is what has been clearly explained in the chapter heading. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, في أحاديث الباب نهيه صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الصلاة بعد العصر حتى تغرب الشمس وبعد الصبح حتى تطلع الشمس وبعد طلوعها حتى ترتفع وعند استوائها حتى تزول وعند اصفرارها حتى تغرب. وأجمعت الأمة على كراهة صلاة لا سبب لها في هذه الأوقات واتفقوا على جواز الفرائض المؤدات فيها واختلفوا في النوافل التي لها سبب كصلاة تحية المسجد وسجود التلاوة والشكر وصلاة العيد والكسوف وفي صلاة الجنازة وقضاء الفوائت مذهب الشافعي وطائفة جواز ذلك كله بلا كراهة ومذهب أبي حنيفة وآخرين أنه داخل في النهي لعموم الأحاديث. واحتج الشافعي وموافقه بأنه ثبت أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قضى سنة الظهر بعد العصر وهذا صريح في قضاء السنة الفائدة فالحاضرة أولى والفريضة المقضية أولى وكذا الجنازة. هذا مختصر ما يتعلق بجملة أحكام الباب، وفيه فروع ودقائق سننبه عليه أو على بعضها في مواضعها من أحاديث الباب إن شاء الله تعالى. The introduction to the study of the chapter goes as follows. All of these hadiths prove that the Prophet ﷺ forbade people making any prayer after Asr until the sun has actually set. Don't make any prayers after Asr prayer except for the Asr until after the sun has totally set, meaning Maghrib time. Meaning what? Maghrib time. It also goes to show, he says, and after Fajr until the sun rises. And after the sun rising, hatta tartafi, until it's high in the sky or higher in the sky. Not immediately after sunrise. Like Eid time. Like what? Eid time. 15-20 minutes after the what? Sun has risen. He says, وَعِنَّ اسْتِوَائِهَا, and when the sun reaches its midpoint, hatta tazul, until it begins to gradually lean towards the west. Gradually lean towards the what? The west. The zenith, as they say. The sun from Fajr all the way up until noon is rising. At a certain point, the sun does what? Stops. Sits there for a second, then it does what? Begins to decline. Once the sun has reached the mid of the sky, no prayer until it begins to tazul. وَعِنْدَ اسْفِرَارِهَا, and when the sun is extremely yellow, very, very yellow, until the sun sets. Meaning, when it's hot outside, the sun is very bright, right? The sun is as if it's not even yellow, it's like white. You can barely look at it. And when the sun begins to set, get lower, the day is ending, the sun becomes very what? Yellowy, quote unquote, if that's a word. Right? And you have the ability to do what? Look at it more. You can what? You can look at it more. It's not as piercing bright. Everyone understand this? Tayyib. Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, the Ummah, all of the Muslims agree that it is disliked, at least it's disliked, maybe haram, but at least it's disliked to pray during these times if the prayer has no specific reason. If the prayer is not that sabab, then everyone agrees that it's what? At least makruha. Some may even say it's haram, but they know for sure, or they agree for sure that it's at least what? That's right. Allah be praised. Immediately replenished, brother. Your transgressions, will be repaid. Tayyib. Everyone understand this or not? All of the Muslims agree that if the prayer does not have a specific reason, then it should not be what? It should not be done during those times. Tayyib, moving forward. Tayyib, before we go forward, let's see. We're going to suffice ourselves with this tonight. We're taking a lot of information, technical. Save for tomorrow or the night after, bidnillahi ta'ala. Allah surely knows best. Jazakumullah khairan. Inshallah, we'll try to take some questions if there's enough time.